Hello and welcome to the abandoned property I purchased here in the Japanese countryside for 19,000 USD. So I live up here in the mountains in a town that has multiple abandoned properties just like my own. In today's video we're going to continue cleaning up the inside and outside of my house. The inside's still full of a lot of the previous owner's stuff. In this episode I also make my way to the neighboring prefecture, which in 2011 was affected by a nuclear meltdown, leaving entire cities totally abandoned. And I'm going to be bringing you with me to do some very interesting exploring here in countryside Japan. Aggressive bears in this area. Anyways, let's get into it. Good morning guys. Very hot day today here in Japan, so I'm not looking forward to it, but I think we're going to be doing some work outside. But first we're going to make a coffee. Yum. So I'd really like to start getting all this cleaned up. I cut it all down probably a few episodes ago, but I've just been letting it sit and dry out. But it's hard to let it dry out when it keeps raining all the time. So my mission for today, I really would like to get started on the backyard in this episode, but before I do that, I've got to clean all this up. Liv's going to be helping me. We're going to be trying to get through it as quick as we can. I've got to cut all this to size so the incineration plant will take it, like logs and stuff under there, dry leaves, which will be fine. And so in order to maximize our load, she's making a return. Also today I'm going to be replacing this roof because it is, yeah, it's not in good shape at all. It's got moss growing on it. Liv's going to be on mulching duty. I'm going to be destroying this. I never noticed, but there's a little flower design in the door handle. I've got to take this off because it's not burnable though. I'm moving the GoPro. The thing feels like it's gonna explode. It's so hot. Seriously, it's like burns your hand just touching it. That's how hot it is right now. I might keep this because we might be able to use it for the metal stairs that are in the greenhouse. For those of you that haven't been watching from the start and are wondering like why I'm cutting it smaller, Japan has like strict rules as to what you can take to the incineration plant. And so I brought some of that stuff last time, but it was too big. So I have this size guide here that I have to use as reference for how big I can have the pieces. So like 45 by I think it's 60 something. But yes, that's why I'm cutting it up versus just throwing it in the back of the truck. So as some of you are aware, I absolutely love traveling. You know, I'd come to Japan multiple times before I actually decided to live here, and I've been to a variety of different countries. Travel is great, but it also can be extremely stressful, as I'm sure some of you know. Today's video sponsor is a company that majorly relieves that stress, makes your traveling experience a lot easier. Today's video sponsor is Saily. So Saily is an eSIM app from the creators of NordVPN. Saily lets you buy your data plan and set everything up before you even leave the country. You don't have to worry about searching around the airport anymore looking for like a physical SIM that you have to put into your phone. You can have everything ready to go before you even leave. I want you to think of like how many times you actually use your phone when traveling overseas, whether it be for Google Maps, checking train timetables, checking into hotels, finding somewhere to eat. It is probably one of the most important things that you're going to be using on any international holiday. So that's why you need reliable data coverage. Saily has affordable data packages in over 180 countries. And I've personally used Saily multiple times and I have had no issues with them at all. Download the app once and then you load up your data package for whatever country you're heading to. I highly suggest that if you have any future international trips planned, give Saily a try. Using my code JADVENTURES, you can get 15% off your first data package. You can also scan the QR code on screen now for my 15% code. Honestly guys, Saily is great, super affordable and very reliable data. So code JADVENTURES for 15% off. Use the QR code on screen now, or also check out my pinned comment down in the comment section. I'm getting absolutely soaked, so on that note, thank you very much Saily. Let's get back to the video. I put this Pocari Sweat in the freezer this morning and I'm so glad that I did.
And I made iced tea. There's 5 tea bags in here.
Refreshing.
I think my face is the same colour as the bottle.
Yeah. Liv wants to show you guys the worms.
It is so hot that all the worms,
So weird.
all the worms have just been cooked and they're actually crispy. I'm sad.
I don't know if you guys want to see crispy worms or not, but... You guys remember when this thing carried for like 2 episodes? I'll never get rid of it just for that. But I'm going to start chipping away at this pile. Liv's done a good job on that pile. We just need to chuck that in the back. We also have some wood scraps that we need to grab from the greenhouse. This was from the last episode where I did the wood wall in the tatami room. Before I cut up any of these big logs, I need a new chain for my bigger chainsaw. I also need some bags for this. So we're gonna take what we've got, go to the hardware store, and also go and get some lunch. I don't know if I told you guys in the last episode, but sometimes when you buy stuff from the konbini here in Japan, when you get your receipt, you get little coupons for like a free or cheap drink. On this receipt, we have a green da kara 600ml or something else that I don't know in 540. But let's try the green one and go and get ourselves a nice free drink from 7-Eleven. Ooh. Also gonna grab a smoothie. Smoothies are 280 yen. Let's try this free drink. Really good.
Oh.
Refreshing. It's a sports drink just like Pocari Sweat, but it's got almost like a slight apple flavored water. You like it?
It just kind of is like tasting electrolytes, and I don't really like having electrolytes.
R34 Skyline. I want to get a cool Japanese car one day, but for now, the Jimny and the little truck will do. Please sponsor me, Coco's Curry House. Yum. I always get extra tartare sauce and a soft boiled egg.
Yum, and we get the same thing pretty much, but I get garlic.
Check this out. What in the world? That was crazy. Like a bunch of custom Hummers. The reason I always go to this one, it is the closest, but all these like incineration or waste disposal center are area specific. I did make the mistake one time of going to a different one, but they asked to see my residence card, and because I wasn't from that area, they don't take my waste.
Do we have non-vegetable stuff too?
Yeah. This cat is walking across the road so slowly. Yeah, her poor thing is probably so hot. We're back home before I go to the hardware store because I should probably measure the roof before I buy wood for a new roof. I can probably just keep the plastic. First I need to get these nails out. Oh no. Check the screws. Great. You know what, since this back section is not rotted, it's a separate piece here, so we'll just get enough to replace the front. I'm never going to get those rusted screws out, so we're just going to cut the wood around the screws and then somehow, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to grind off these, I was going to call them screws, but I don't even know if they are considered screws anymore. I'm going to grind off these pieces of metal so my board will sit flat. Now I have a huge mess again and more added to the pile. Awesome. My neighbour, look what she just brought over. It's like a pasta salad with egg and stuff in it. Yum. She's so nice. Hello, Mr. Roberto. I'm going to have to go back to the hardware store where I bought the chainsaw because they don't have chainsaw chains here. Well, they only had the thin bits of wood, but I'd rather just get it covered tonight and save anything leaking through because it looks like it's probably going to rain tonight. Liv's going to pressure wash these ones. I'm also going to use silicone because it will stop water from getting through. And I'd prefer to not have what happened with the previous screws happen with these screws. So we're just going to silicone it down and then screw the plastic to the top. Well, we'll wait for that glue to dry, and then tomorrow we can screw these back on. Tonight for dinner, we have a convenience store. Forgot the name of it, but it's like an egg and pork rice bowl. Very delicious. Good morning, everyone. Another very hot day here today, but the work must continue. Let's make a coffee. Thank you, Barrett's. So before I get started with my work today, I wanted to take a little moment to say thank you to everyone that's currently on screen. All of these people sent super thanks on the last video, which is honestly so appreciated. Like, it all adds up, and it's all money that I can spend on transforming this house. Before I took on this project, I literally sold everything that I owned to be able to afford this house, and I moved to Japan just hoping and praying that, you know, my content would blow up. And clearly it's working out pretty well. But these super thanks are such a nice bonus. They really add up. And all it does is help me put out content sooner and be able to take on projects that I maybe would have had to wait to do in the past. Eventually, when I do finish this project, who knows when, I would like to do something for everyone that ever sent a super thanks. I don't know what, but I'm figuring it out. But thank you so much, guys. It honestly means so much. So before I get started on my outside work today, I need to clean out this cupboard. So I've partially been through all of this, but there's still a lot more to go through. And I honestly have no clue what majority of this stuff is. So I'm going to start sorting through it all. I'll show you guys if there's anything interesting. But yes, these are all items that were in the house when I bought it. So like the previous owner's stuff. I did not buy those boxes of tissues, so multiple tissues, even more here. But yes, I forgot to mention, tomorrow we are going on a little trip. A place that I've been to multiple times now, but I figured I would go back and bring you guys because it is truly one of the most eerie, and in my opinion, this place is like the closest you'll get to like being in a real life apocalypse. Like the sheer extent of abandoned places and big buildings and literal towns is just insane. Now obviously I've shown a lot of abandoned places here in Japan because of like Japan's aging population, certain towns over time just like becoming abandoned, but in this case it was something very different. It was a major natural disaster that struck Japan in 2011 and a chain of events that resulted in hundreds of thousands of people having to be evacuated. It's so interesting to go through this stuff and, you know, translate different things because I just found a book and this was wrote by the previous owner. And what this is, he tracked his meals, literally every single meal for years. As you can see, 2019. That is every single day. Morning of May 23rd, May 24th, May 25th. 6. Grilled eel, white rice, sake, seared chicken, beer, seaweed with black vinegar, sushi, sake, whiskey with water. That's what I'm saying. The previous owner of this house was a very organized person in a lot of aspects. Another thing that I've noticed while I'm cleaning this out is there is manuals for literally every single product that he's ever bought. There is a manual in there for it, dating back, you know, years and years. I just found this catalogue of some sort. There's little things in it, so I'm assuming maybe it's things that he wanted to buy. The note is him adding up all the prices of the things that he wanted to get. This may come in handy. Exactly what I need. How to DIY, and it's like removing wallpaper. But yes, it makes me very sad to go through all this stuff, if I'm honest with you. And once I make this video, you will understand why. Also, I forgot to show you guys, but when I was in Tokyo with my sisters, I bought this sticker. Very relevant. Someone actually commented on the last video about going to Insect World, which is kind of near the house. And I just found this brochure from 2019 for it. So let me know down in the comments if you guys want me to take you to the Gunma Insect World. There is manuals for literally everything. No doubt that receipt is for the same canes that you guys have seen me go to multiple times. Well, I just found years worth of termite and like mold maintenance on the house, so that is great. This is years worth of calendars. with his schedule and days planned out and how much money he spent that day. 2022 August is the last calendar that I can find. Honestly, what I just found gave me chills, because I'm going through the calendars, just seeing his general day-to-day life. And you know how I said that tomorrow we're going to be going to a place that was evacuated because of a natural disaster? I was curious whether he'd wrote anything about it, because obviously he was in Japan on the day that it occurred. So 2011 March, on the 11th, as you can see, earthquake occurred at 12:45 Tohoku and Kanto regions. That was Japan's massive 2011 earthquake that absolutely devastated Japan, and where we're heading tomorrow is a direct result of that earthquake and what unfolded because of it. Got old headphones and charging cables, more skincare. These are a bunch of those things that you can see up on the roof there. I'm pretty sure it's got to do with the religion, but they are super cool. Have really awesome designs on them. I think that maybe when I go to the temple, I'll leave these for when they do the blessing, and then maybe they might want to grab them. I'm not sure. The room is quite the mess, but we're getting there.
They're 60.
So he put a pretty big dent in this top section. A lot of the stuff in here is just stuff that we've taken out of the kitchen that we probably need to put back in the kitchen. There is more gas. One thing that I wanted to mention is in the last video when I was going through the glassware, a lot of people wanted it and offered to buy it off me. Now, unfortunately, due to the amount of it and my inability to even know how to ship something here in Japan, I'm most likely just going to donate it all. But I have found some really cool smaller items. These are chopstick holders, super unique chopstick holders, more chopstick holders. Since they're not overly large and I'll be able to properly package them up and send them internationally, maybe even some of these smaller dishes I could send overseas. Let me know down in the comments whether it's something that you would be interested in, and maybe I could do a giveaway to some of my subscribers. Obviously they're only small little items. I don't know if they're worth much money, but it would be cool to be able to share a souvenir with you guys from here in the house in Japan. So let me know down in the comments if you would like some little chopstick holders or little glassware, and if I get enough interest, maybe I'll do a giveaway to my subscribers. For lunch today, I'm having the pasta salad that my neighbor brought me over. Liv also had some fries left in the air fryer, so I'm having pasta salad fries. Just found a box, quite a large box that's been taped up, so see what's inside. Hane Mori. I have no clue what this is. Oh, it's a blanket. Damn, it was packaged very nicely. Found toilet paper, that's a score. So I'm basically done with this for now. As you can see, it's pretty much cleared out. All that's left is the stuff that I've bought. One thing that I will not be throwing away, just because it doesn't feel right, and I still don't know if there's anyone out there that can claim them, but there is so many photo albums full of family photos from years back. When I put out this video explaining the story of this house, etc., I will explain the terms of my sale and who I actually bought the house from and who lived here and stuff like that. But there's still a lot of confusion when it comes to this house because of the photo albums left behind and the fact that certain other things were taken. But yes, I promise you that video is coming very soon. Alright, I'm going to start taking some of the stuff in this room out of the truck so we can take it to the waste facility. When you're recycling books or magazines, you got to tie them up in little bundles like this. So that's what we've done. And shortly we're going to take them to the hardware store recycle center. So the little chimney is loaded up with cardboard and magazines that we're going to go recycle. We also need to head to the hardware store so I can get a new chainsaw chain and some big bags like the ones over there to put this into. And since we're going to be doing our road trip tomorrow that's going to take about 3 hours, we need to get an ETC card, which allows us to go through the toll gates here in Japan. So let's go. Check the size of this truck. Sort of thing I'd expect to see in like America. It's so funny because in Australia the rules are pretty strict for like how high you can have your car and wheels coming out of the guards, but in America it's just not a thing at all. So there was like literal monster trucks on the road, and that's probably the closest thing to what I saw in America. We're having some trouble with our ETC card. So we're here to get the card set up, but for whatever reason, the card reader is now not working. And I suspect it's got something to do when we installed that head unit in the last episode. Well, unfortunately, I had to spend like $200 on a new ETC card reader. And even though it's the same model, it's a newer one. So I have to have it installed rather than just like plugging it in. So we have to wait an hour. Luckily for us, there's a Cometta's coffee right across the road, so let's go get a coffee. I love how these buildings look. All the Comettas look like this. It's also about 40 degrees right now. I went with ice. Usually I always go with hot, but it's just insane right now. Comettas has like a special menu right now. It's all like curry themed. I got a curry and naan hot dog. Curry, cheese, naan, and hot dog on top.
I found this cola float flavored Coolish whip, and I said in the last video a Coolish whip is a bit like a soft serve but in like a squeezy pouch, and I just didn't want to pass up the chance to try it.
Whoa, actually so good.
Tastes like those little cola bottles that you get that are a bit sour. 7 out of 10.
It's an 8 out of 10. While we wait, we are gonna go to Hypermedia Shop. I've stayed in this sort of accommodation before, but they're all shipping container like rooms. I actually stayed there when I first came and looked at this house last year. Oh wow, you can rent DVDs in Japan. They also have arcade machines in this like tech store. Oh. Yes. I did it. Drink. Liv's gonna try now. Unlucky. How it works is you got to pick the thing up and then it drops it onto that ball. Get the right bounce, it comes down. Too far back again. Pepsi refresh shot. I've never seen this before. Let me know down in the comments if they sell those in your country or if it's just something here in Japan. That was hilarious. We just almost hit a monkey because it stole a pumpkin from the farmer's farm and ran across the road. Before the sun goes down, I'm going to chip away at cutting up some of this backyard. If you haven't been watching from the start, this yard was originally so overgrown, like it was a jungle back here. But I cut down a lot of the bigger trees and I've just been letting them dry out. But I need to cut them smaller so I can actually bring them to the incinerator plant. I really want to keep these Japanese maple trees, but as you can see, it's all tangled up with this tree next to it. To be honest, I'm pretty sure that's been eaten by those beetles, so let's get rid of it. Those vines have really got a hold of it. soon I got to start on this greenhouse too. Currently 7 p.m. and I'm still dripping in sweat, but this view definitely makes up for it a bit. Unfortunately ran out of daylight, but man, this heat is something else. Drenched. I'm about to do my Japanese lesson and the power is flicking on and off because it's storming right now. So hopefully we don't lose power again. And it's gone. I was worried because I was thinking it was just like this house, but it's the entire neighborhood. It is so dark outside. Liv has made a delicious meal tonight. Check that out. These are deconstructed burgers, so like beef patty with, you know, burger stuff. Very, very delicious. Thank you, Liv.
That's all right.
All right, guys, it's late. I'm heading to bed. I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everyone. We are enjoying our coffees, but soon we're going to be heading off on the road trip. I'm very much looking forward to this. It is honestly one of the most interesting places that I've ever been, so I'm really looking forward to sharing some information and showing you guys what it looks like.
Good morning. I made some dates with chocolate and peanut butter. Good stuff.
Well, the Jimny's all loaded up and ready to go. Let's make our way to Fukushima. Now, the reason we're going to Fukushima is because it was one of the places that was affected when in 2011, the Fukushima nuclear plant was hit with the tsunami, causing it to melt down and explode, which caused radiation to leak from the plant to the surrounding suburbs. Tonight, we're going to be staying in one of those suburbs and showing you what these towns still look like almost 15 years after the disaster. The Fukushima nuclear disaster is the second worst recorded nuclear disaster of all time, behind Chernobyl. Now, we're still 2 hours away, but I just came across this massive abandoned hotel, and I've actually been here once before. Now, this thing is absolutely huge. Uh-oh. Stopping at Lawson for a little snack. I got some chicken, and then I also got pancakes with margarine and maple syrup.
And I got a hot dog. Yum. So right now we're about an hour out of Futaba. Now Futaba is where the nuclear plant is. So although we're an hour out, this is where we're going to start to see the effects of the nuclear meltdown. So from the direct location of the plant,
the radiation spread up to 50 kilometers out. So I always notice in the comment section when I make my videos and show, like, you know, how my neighborhood has like a few abandoned houses, and people are always asking, you know, why. Now, a lot of this has got to do with Japan's declining population, aging population, and also lack of work in these country towns. But in the case of Fukushima, it was obviously something totally different. So when the meltdown happened, approximately 160,000 people evacuated the Fukushima prefecture, resulting in hotels, houses, shops, and even entire cities to be totally left behind. So dependent on the area and how affected it was by radiation, people were asked to evacuate anywhere from 3 to 10 years before they were allowed to move back. And obviously moving away from somewhere for so long, you end up just building a life elsewhere, and then to, you know, pack it all up again and start again just wasn't worth it for a lot of people. So a lot of the places are still left behind and abandoned. Now, this happened in 2011, but due to the sheer extent of the work required, they are still cleaning up Fukushima today, and that's something you'll most likely be seeing in this video. One thing about this place though is there is security, police and workers everywhere. When driving around, you're gonna see a lot of these certain sort of gates. I'm pretty sure they're just like the construction gates here in Japan. Now, I know they probably just look like a gate in the forest, but that is actually people's driveways, or even sometimes entire streets. All of the houses that haven't yet been cleaned up or lived in again from the disaster are gated off. And since it's been 15 years, nature really has taken over a lot of these houses. There's some incredible looking, huge houses that have just been sitting here for years. Looks like a pretty big house, and then I think next to it here looks like an apartment complex of some sort. No. Maybe it was actually some sort of office. So you can see here that this is someone's house, but the actual like concrete wall fence thing has completely caved in up against the house. But check the road. Wow. Bikes and stuff left behind. Cage. Now we're heading along a road now that I'd assume, you know, doesn't lead to anything that's still active because it's quite overgrown, but you're always curious as to what's going to be at the end of these roads. It seems to me there's some sort of big building up here. I don't know if it's a school or something. I'm not sure if there's going to be any roads up to it or not though. One thing we really do need to be careful of as well. So the last time that I was here, there were signs placed around warning aggressive bear in the area. And so you'll see driving around here that there's cages, there's a small cage there, and that potentially could be a bear or a boar trap. You know, people were just living here and then they left. So food left in the fridge, the pantries, stuff like that's gonna attract wildlife. So you'll notice it more here versus like, you know, out in the forest. It's truly a crazy place. I think that might even be a school there. So I can kind of see in this post office, probably people's mail, things left behind the counter, all the brochures and everything still up. Because some people had to evacuate so quick, some of these places have literally not changed since 2011. Like, I can almost guarantee that in that post office there is unsent packages from that exact date back in 2011. I remember seeing this place last time. It's a big ABC Mart, so a big shoe store. To be honest, it looked cleaned out, but it's like there is a chance that, you know, old stock or shoes that had just come out in 2011 are sitting in there brand new. Well, unfortunately it started to rain, so it's going to limit our exploring abilities, but we actually have 2 nights here in Fukushima, so we're going to be doing a good explore. And I want to show you guys some of the things that I've found in the past. I remember last time finding 2 motorbikes. So sad to see, because obviously they're just rotting there, but actually I found multiple motorbikes. Very late one today, but stopping at Family Mart for a coffee. Well, we've made it to our accommodation for the night. Let's go and check in, and maybe we can go for a bit of an explore later tonight. More bear posters. A bear appears. Be careful when walking early in the morning or at night. In this hotel, you take your shoes off before you come in. Put them in a locker. It's very empty behind the hotel. Oh, tatami area. So one thing that I've noticed compared to coming here in the past is that a lot more like hotels and stuff have opened, and also the ones that we've stayed at in the past are actually like booked out and a lot more expensive. When me and Liv came here last time, we stayed in accommodation that was about $40 a night, and it was crazy because there was just like abandoned buildings around it. That place was totally booked out this time, and I think a lot of the time it's actually workers that are staying here. Since the cleanup effort is so big, I'd assume a lot of people that live outside of Fukushima come to Fukushima to help with the cleanup, and then obviously they need places to stay. As you can see, just across the road from the hotel, quite a nice big house right there that is abandoned. Well guys, we're gonna head out, go and get some dinner, and also keep exploring the towns of Fukushima. Damn, I did not realize. I thought that was just like a general warning of like bears, but the sign literally says there have been bear sightings near the hotel. Please be careful going out at night or in the early morning. That's crazy. Really quite weird to, like, you know, look at a bunch of houses that, you know, normally would have their lights on of a night or a street lit up, and it's just darkness. This restaurant has a wait area. Hi guys, it's late. We are heading to bed. We have a lot planned for tomorrow, which I'm very much looking forward to, and I can't wait to show you some of these spots. Anyways, I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everyone. I just looked out the window and it started to rain, so that is not good, but we are not going to let it stop us. There's still so much that we're going to be doing regardless of the weather. First thing that we're going to be doing though,
Getting a coffee.
Yeah. I got an egg and shrimp roll for breakfast. So now we're going to be making our way to the coastline to a place that I've been once before. But this area that we're heading to now was directly affected by the actual tsunami. It blows my mind being in this place because you can actually see how high the water got, and it's just insane. So the area that we're driving right now, this entire section in 2011 was completely underwater. Probably see that wall in the distance. This was built after the 2011 tsunami because the one that they had simply wasn't big enough. Everything for kilometers that way was completely underwater. After the 2011 earthquake, the water rushed back out to sea, and then it came in and wiped every building out in this area. You can probably see a building in the distance there, but somehow that building in the distance there actually managed to withstand the tsunami waves and is actually still standing. Let's go and have a look at it. So the original wall that was here was built at about 5.5 meters. Unfortunately, it was nowhere near big enough, with the tallest waves reaching up to 15 meters. So the current wall sits at about 16 meters. Hopefully nothing ever makes it over this wall again. After this, we're going to be making our way to the Earthquake Museum, where you can truly see the devastation that was caused. That might be bear feces. Really got to be careful of bears around here. We really should have brought bear spray or something. Something that I find just insane is the fact that when you look inside that building, you see the windows smashed and it's all trashed on the inside. And unfortunately, in Australia, it would be like that because people have trashed it. They're the ones that made it destroyed on the inside. But in the case of this building, the reason why the glass and the inside is all destroyed is because of the tsunami. It would have rushed in so quick through this building, and you can see right there the top level windows are smashed. It's just insane that it even managed to stay standing up, because a lot of the buildings along here were totally flattened. There's a lot of stuff washed up on the beach here. See if we can find anything interesting. What in the world is this? I have no clue what this is. If anyone can let me know down in the comments. It's huge though. It's a massive piece of bamboo. I don't know what this is, but it's heavy. There's currently a couple of surfers just out in the water there, and it just makes me think of like the people that were super close to the coastline back in 2011. You know, people that just lived by the water, or even a fisherman out on a boat or a surfer out in the water, feeling the initial shocks of that earthquake. And obviously a Japanese person would be aware that, you know, when there's an earthquake, there's a chance that there could be a tsunami as well. And then hearing the sirens. In the footage I've seen of the tsunami, there were sirens ringing to warn people. And so to be here in this area whilst it was happening would have just been the scariest thing. And unfortunately, a lot of people weren't quick enough in escaping it. Even just looking at the wall now, seeing how small Liv is compared to the wall. Crazy to even imagine the water being that high. That could have washed in from anywhere. Probably use that. We're gonna stop in at this, I don't know, it's Super Zero Mill, but there's actually a cafe inside of it for a coffee, and then we're gonna be making our way to the 2011 Great Earthquake Museum. That's the building. Very nice. Delicious. Come on. I highly suggest if you ever make your way to Fukushima to check this place out because it is really fascinating. So this is what I was talking about before. That line up there is how high the water would have been in this exact location. You can't even fully get it in frame how high it is. After the tsunami, I think 1,000 of these bikes were donated. They were like special relief bikes donated by Giant, and it was basically for survivors and, you know, clean up. They weren't able to use cars in certain areas because of the debris and stuff. Around 6 AM the next day, the evacuation order was issued. 10-kilometer radius around the Fukushima plant. You know, a lot of people waking up, getting started for their day. So it exploded, and then 20-kilometer radius. So people were getting evacuated due to the radiation spreading. Look at that. That's the actual plant. So certain towns around the area, evacuation order lifted. That's in 2014. Not Aha Town, 2015. Soto Village, 2016. This post box and the entire foundation was washed away. This is a graph of the different towns affected. Blue is would like to move back. Green, still unsure, have decided to not move back. As you can see, it's the case with most of them. And a very small percentage, which is the green, have actually decided to come back by a very small amount. So much information in this place that I'd love to share with you guys, but there's just way too much. I highly recommend if you ever get the chance to come to Fukushima to check out this museum. That's so sad. US Marine Corps helping. Operation called Tomodachi, which means friend. All around the affected areas, you'll see these. Now that is a reader of the current radiation Now you're probably wondering, like, Jack, you know, what are you doing? You're in a radioactive area right now, like, what are you doing? But the radiation never really got high enough to do like severe damage. Now, long-term exposure can definitely cause some issues. They didn't do the cleanup and people kind of just continued living in the areas that were affected by radiation. In that case, yes, it could have some issues, but you know, me right now doing this is completely safe. You'll see these white walls or barriers, I guess. And so in there you would have seen a bunch of like black bags, tons and tons of black bags. In those bags is radioactive waste. It could be something just simple as soil, but since it's radioactive, they have to do something with it. Now that we've finished up at the museum, we're going to be making our way out to some of the abandoned villages. Game Fantasy, I wonder what that was. This is a big multi-story, I think it was a pachinko parlor. So this building right here was a youth and women's hall. Now this would have been sitting vacant since 2011, and you can see that the building's quite badly falling apart. Piles of crap. There's a high chance this could have been from the earthquake, but it's still completely full of stuff. Furniture, items, everything left as it was in 2011. Even the old vending machine. It's so crazy to look inside and just see all this stuff still in there. Check the old TV. Looks like the ground has dropped here too. Or it's just separated from the building. It's hard to know whether this is just from like sitting for so long or the earthquake itself. Surrounding buildings, that one just there and the one next to it are also abandoned. So I'm going to make my way across and see what we can see. Moped and bikes. So at this building there's bikes and stuff still left in the car park. A couple of mopeds just through there. But if you head this way, this is the car park. These would all be cars who have been sitting here since 2011. People's items still left inside. The tyres have literally disintegrated. Check that out. So crazy. Literally just rusting away. That right there is most likely radioactive waste. So I'm not quite sure what this like building is. I kind of assumed that maybe it was like a school, or it seems to me that they've definitely done some cleanup, but still very much abandoned. So I just translated the sign, and I'm pretty sure this was a like an elderly care home, which makes sense because it is a pretty big facility. Even the elderly people that lived here would have had to evacuate. It's quite a large facility. Hospital beds. Crazy. Well, this is all opened up. Like there's no barriers, you know, secluding this off. But I still feel weird kind of walking around inside here, so we'll move on to somewhere else. This is the front section of that elderly care home. There's another building which I think was maybe a hospital or something. It's a big building. Looks like maybe office space. To be honest, it looks like a hotel, but in the like shed part of it there was like firefighting equipment. Look at the movement in the ground there. Yeah, my assumption is probably apartment buildings or a hotel. You can see there's a house that they're cleaning up, but next to it is the black bags. That would be radioactive waste. Literally every one of these houses, if they're not being cleaned up and moved back into, will most likely be demolished. Police. A lot of the streets are like fully blocked off and have guards there because they're still cleaning up those streets. Just said aggressive bears in this area. Could have bought the bear spray. We're using like Google Maps right now, and since so many of these roads are closed, it's really hard to get around because it's taking us down roads that, you know, were once opened but are now barriered off. So when I filmed my Fukushima video last year, I came across something pretty interesting. Now, I found on Google Maps just like a regular hotel. I went on their website that was still active. It had reviews of like people staying there. But after checking the reviews, I realized that the last reviews were in 2011, but there was nothing to say whether the hotel was abandoned, you know, whether it was still active or if it had been evacuated. And the fact that the website was still active kind of left me in the unknown. So basically last time we went to that hotel, and as I suspected, it was abandoned. This massive hotel that looked quite nice in its time be totally left behind. So we're going to be heading back to that hotel, seeing if they've opened it up, if people are staying there now again, or if it's still abandoned. I don't think anyone's been here for a while. I'm sure this would have been such a nice hotel in its day. It's really big. It was actually around this area where we saw the aggressive bear spotted signs last time. And I did see one just before on the side of the road, so hopefully the bear that was in this location has moved on. We're heading to the back section of this hotel right now, and it's very much overgrown. Old bikes, furniture, it's a ashtray and tools. So eerie. Those cards. I'd be very curious to know what's inside this garage. This is like the main entrance. Yeah, check the size of this place. You can see the top part of the roof is like caved in. Check that. Now, I'm not sure what this is. I think maybe a pachinko parlor. It's quite a big building, but they've got a lot of signs saying no trespassing and cameras around, so my assumption is that someone's been caught here doing it in the past, and that's why they've got all that up. So that door has been opened. It's crazy how all the grass has come through the separations in the parking lot. Have an abandoned Nissan dealership here. I wonder if there's any cars stored in the back still. You can see everything's still left inside, and there's even a vending machine out the front. That sign right there, radiation levels in this area. So the area that we're in right now is a lot closer to the actual plant. So you see on the radiation counters that it increases. But this is a whole street around here, and there's just cars parked. I was gonna say in these fields, but they obviously weren't fields originally. It would have been just a car park. Wow. It's just crazy. Imagine just being told one day, like, you've got to leave your house and never come back. The bikes left behind. Like someone's been in this house because the front of it's opened. So I came across what looks like a tunnel under the ground. Very curious as to whether it's actually open or not. I don't know about this, to be honest. There's a light on, so that's a good sign, but this is freaky. It's just a tunnel under the road. This is right next to those abandoned houses that we were just at. Another one. You'll see the heaters and everything inside, all the furniture. Wow, check this out. This car has almost been completely taken over by the greenery. That is just kilometers of radiation waste. You can actually see on maps how much of it there is. Look at it all. Look at the screen doors inside, they're totally deteriorated. We can't go any further down there. It's like some piece of farming equipment, some sort of tractor, or the vines have just completely taken it over. So me and Liv were talking about it just then as to, you know, some people may have been given the option to come back to, you know, where they live, their home. But you also have to take into consideration that even if you wanted to come back to your house and, you know, reintegrate or whatever, how would you feel about living in a neighborhood where no one else even exists and your neighboring houses are just like completely abandoned? It would just feel really weird, and you'd have like an increased amount of wildlife. There's a lot of things to take into consideration, and I can understand like why people that may have even had the option to come back have chose not to. Well, we've made our way back to the hotel. I'm gonna freshen up, go and get some dinner. We're having a nice and chill combini for dinner tonight. We are using the community microwave. For tonight's dinner, I have my own recipe. I got some rice and a little bit of chicken. And then separately, I got mushroom and egg. Then I bought myself a piece of fried chicken. Break up with this fork. We're gonna put our fried chicken with this. Delicious. And Liv got a, what is it?
It's a butter chicken curry, but with noodles. Udon noodles. Yum.
Morning, guys. Another pretty wet day here in Fukushima, but we're going to be heading home this morning because I have some work to do. Our journey home this morning is about 3 and a little bit hours. You guys remember how we had that whole thing 2 days ago where we went to, you know, the automotive store and we had to get an ETC reader installed? Originally we were just going there to pick up our card, but we had to get a new machine. We didn't actually get the card. That was to just register the machine that wasn't even working. We still couldn't take the ETC toll routes. To get our ETC card, I first have to apply for a credit card, and then I can get the ETC card. But yes, Japan can be quite challenging at times, but it's fine. We made it here. It's a cool bike. Obviously, before our drive home, we got to stop for a coffee. So you can see the JR station over there, Futaba station. But at one stage, this entire town was closed off. But certain buildings have been rebuilt. You can see over in the distance there, there's still abandoned ones. This is right next to where we just got coffee. Family shop. And it's hard to know whether they're caving in because they've been sitting for so long or they caved in because of the earthquake. It's super sad to just drive around and think like so many people's lives were changed because of this. I did do a more in-depth video on what happened here in Fukushima on my channel. I think it was about 2 years ago. I'll put it on screen now, so if you want to watch it after this video, you can. But I go more into detail as to what actually happened here. I'm curious, and let me know down in the comments, if you were told that you could have a free house here in Fukushima, something like this, you know, you could restore for yourself, it would become your own totally for free, but you'd be living in a town where there's abandoned houses everywhere. You know, you've got no neighbors. You're kind of like really in the forest here because, you know, there's not much around. Would you take it? Also guys, this is what I was talking about, what I saw last time I was here, and there were a lot of these signs. Honestly, this freaks me out so much. Warning, aggressive bears in this area. So obviously the workers or whatever have spotted a bear, and it's, you know, they don't just say it's aggressive for no reason. Something must have happened. We've stopped at 7-Eleven and I've got myself pork cutlet bowl. But by the end of this episode, I keep seeing it everywhere and I've never had it before. I'm going to try eel. Quite common in Japan. You see it in a lot of places, so it must be good. But I need to try it, so I'll do a review before this episode ends. And we have made it back to our countryside town. A lot of you messaged me interested in one of the houses in my street that's abandoned, just up here on the right. This one right here. But yesterday we actually saw a Japanese person cleaning it out. They were bringing a bunch of furniture from out of the house. So I don't know if that's someone who's inherited it or they've bought it, but may have some new neighbors. Well, I've made it back home and it's like 15 degrees hotter here, so not ideal. But when I was in Fukushima and I saw the, you know, the aggressive bear signs, it kind of had me thinking. And so basically, I think it was maybe 2 episodes ago, my neighbor emailed me and said that there was a bear attack here in Kiryu, not far from the house. And I gotta be honest, it makes me paranoid. So I'm gonna do something that's probably not gonna help this situation at all, but I bought a wildlife camera and I'm gonna be setting it up in the forest. And so how they work is it's a camera that's like turns on when there's a sensor, and basically if it detects anything in the vicinity, the camera turns on and records and shows you what's there. So it's coming tomorrow, so I think we're going to be able to set it up, and hopefully overnight we may be able to see what's up in the forest. But for now I'm going to keep clearing up this backyard and hopefully we can make a big dent on this pile. I also need to get this plastic back on the shed roof. And someone left a good comment about using like a bleach solution to get this moss and like green stuff off. So before the sun goes down, I'm going to do that and then power wash the shed. Basically what I'm doing is just cutting them to the size so I can take them to the incineration plant, throwing them in that pile there, and then I'll just keep doing loads straight to the truck, and it saves me from having a pile out the front like I currently do and have basically had since the start of this series. I really would like to get the front area cleaned up a bit. All these smaller, skinnier ones I'll hit with the mulcher so we can try and get as much as possible. Well, we are making some really good progress here. But before I end up with another out of control pile in my front yard, let's mulch this up. Well, my roof should be pretty well stuck now, so we're going to take these bricks off, screw in the plastic and also stick it down, and then let's give this shed a clean. I got to get these old rusty nails out before I put this up. Well, the roof is screwed in. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't know how waterproof it is. We're going to have to wait until our next heavy downpour. But as long as we've got some plastic with a slight decline, that should all come off and not pull up on the top. Now let's get some of this grime off. Bit of kitchen bleach. A little bit of water. Probably going to have to leave this side because I'll end up having to move this, I think it's kerosene storage. We'll let that soak for a little while and then we'll hit it with the pressure washer and see how much of a difference it makes. Now eventually I am going to pressure wash the entire house, but I think I'm going to need something a little bit more powerful than my current washer. I'm also probably going to need scaffolding. I just did another layer of bleach. I'll let that soak and come back to it, but for now I'm going to keep going with the backyard. These Japanese maples I'm going to be keeping, they're just so tangled in vines, like that is all vines. So yeah, we're going to attempt to pull it out, but it's very difficult because they're quite large. Well, as you can see, I've cleared somewhat of a path, but we still have a lot more to do. As I was cutting down these, I was looking in the greenhouse. Man, that is going to be an absolute mission. But one thing that kind of concerns me is covered in spider webs. Spider web, spider web. I don't know if you guys can see out the back there, but there's a massive one and all on the inside. So there's a high chance the inside of that is like a massive spider's nest, which is, yeah, just great. But I think I've made a good amount of progress just then, and I cannot wait until this is done. It's probably a little bit hard to see now, so I might have to show you in the morning. But that bleach has made a big difference on this shed. Now most likely I'm going to be painting it, and I may redo the roof, but it's cleaned up really nice. I still don't know if I'm going to repaint this to the same color as what I paint the house, or if I do something totally different. To be honest, I'm really into like the wood paneling, and some of you made some good suggestions for this wall, which I'm very much into, but I'm going to need some big scaffolds. But maybe we can match the shed to whatever we decide to put there. I keep eating these peanut butter chocolate dates that Liv made, but I think you can only eat a certain amount of date because cleanses the system, if you know what I'm saying, but I just can't stop myself. Tonight for dinner, we are having pesto pasta made by Liv. Alright guys, I am heading to bed. I will see you in the morning.
Good morning, everyone. We got some work to do today.
So guys, I just got a notification that I've been looking forward to. My vanity is arriving this week, which means I'm going to have to deal with this area. I wanted to wait until I had the vanity before I started taking any of this apart, because obviously we're still using it and living here. But if it's coming this week, then this is great. I can start clearing all this out and preparing it to be tiled, painted, vanity fit. And also, I have to do the flooring, but I still have no clue what I want to do. I got one of these like fake stick-on tiles to test it out before the real thing, but I'm not sure if I like it. I was thinking like a dark wood paneling, but also I don't know if they would suit being in a room like this. It's not like a wet room. Like obviously you shower and stuff in there, but when you come out, water still gets on the floor and stuff like that. So I'm not entirely sure, but all I know for now is let's start clearing out everything in this bathroom. They are not moving, no matter how hard I try, whatever screwdriver I use, the drill, not budging. I am damaging my wall, which is not good at all, so I think I'm going to have to try and just drill these out. That is not yum at all. Let's get this up off the floor and assess, see if there's any damage under it. Cool. Let's double check and make sure nowhere in that little hole in the ground is water affected. Just a little bit that dripped through. I checked this when I first bought my house. Under the house is so clean. Well, I'm going to run down to the Combini and get something to eat because I'm feeling pretty hungry, and then we're going to try and remove some wallpaper. So since I do live out here in the countryside of Japan, people always ask me, like, you know, how far is everything from you? I still remember when I posted my first video, someone's leaving like a backhanded comment or like hate comment, basically saying like, good luck getting to the nearest hospital when you hurt yourself out in countryside Japan. Something along the lines of that. The nearest hospital I think is 14 minutes away. It's really not that dramatic at all. Like, it's probably about the same as when I lived back in Australia. But my nearest convenience store is, I'm gonna say, about 7-minute drive. Nearest hardware store is about 7-minute drive. Decent size like grocery store, I'm gonna say, is about 12 minutes. Like, I am out in the countryside, but I'm also next to a city at the same time. When I first looked at houses, I was planning on going like super rural, but I really get the best of both worlds here. My house is up in a valley, but if I head down the mountain, I make my way to the city. And the main city strip of Kiryu, where I live, is probably, I'm gonna say, about 15 minutes. So in general, everything is very accessible still. But it truly is an incredible spot and I absolutely love it here. I got myself like a potato and rice omelette and some gyoza. Well, I got the steamer heating up. Let's try and take some of this wallpaper off and see how badly I just damaged the walls. I gotta be honest, this is really not going to plan. Front of the board is coming off, the back of the wallpaper is sticking, and these walls I plan on painting. Luckily this is going to get tiled, so it doesn't really matter too much how it looks, but I think we've definitely learnt that it's going to be an easy approach to just paint over the wallpaper. I think I may have to take a little bit of a different approach with this. I'm going to do some research and come back to it. I spoke to my friend Dylan, who's a plasterer, and he said just try and get it as smooth as you can, fill in your holes, and then use a lot of primer when you paint it. So I guess that's what we'll do. But I am running out of daylight, and there's something that I want to show you guys. What you're looking at right here is a wildlife camera. I literally just got this before and I've put it on charge. So how it works is that whenever something walks in front of this, it starts recording. And so I'm gonna put it up in the forest and we're gonna see if we can spot a bear. I'm not looking forward to these results. Camera's all set up. I'm now gonna make my way up the mountain in the chimney and we'll find a nice tree, an opening to set it up on. We'll see what we can see out in the forest tonight. Pretty sure this house on the corner here is abandoned. I still have never made it to the complete end of this road. I ended up getting stuck last time. It's so nice. Check that out. You guys might be able to see it, but just through there looks to be some sort of cage. I see a lot of them around here and they're either for bears or for boars. Maybe I'll try and set it up down here somewhere. Just gotta make sure I can actually get down to it. To be honest, I get nervous even just walking around here because yeah, there was probably a bear attack. I think it was around 2 weeks ago, just like around this area. Well, to be honest, it's so hard to know if the thing's working. I think it is, but I set it up in a more visible spot. We'll leave it for the night and we'll see what we find. Also, I found a shotgun shell. I told you I would. So for dinner tonight, I'm having some eel. Never had eel in my life, but I see it sold quite a lot in Japan. And honestly, it was kind of expensive. It was about $15 for this lot. So let's try it out. It smells quite fishy. It's got bones in it. Let me know down in the comments if you've had eel before and whether you like it or not. Honestly, not bad at all. I get a little bit worried about the bones, but best way to describe it is just like a kind of like a more fattier fish. I'm gonna rate eel maybe a 7 out of 10. I'd probably get it again. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'm super happy with the progress that we're making so far. And like always, your support is the biggest piece of motivation that I have. Every week I give it as much effort as I can to make these videos interesting for you guys. So I very much hope that you're enjoying them. If you did enjoy, please drop a like on the video because it helps out massively. And if you don't want to miss an episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I will see you all next week with a lot more progress to be made. Bye guys.